Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Maple Finance Update. We haven't done one of these since, I believe, the middle of December. Good morning, Everybody, 17th of January 2026. This is your Maple Finance Update. We, believe it or not, have a lot to cover. The last time we did one of these, I think, was about 4 or 5 weeks ago, just before Christmas. We went over a year in review for Maple Finance. We talked about everything they have done from January all the way up to December. What we're going to do today is we're going to cover what Maple Finance did in December. We're going to have a look at some of the milestones that they hit in December. And then we're going to look forward. We're going to look to January, which is 2 weeks old. And we're going to cover off an awful lot of content about Maple Finance. We're going to start with a quick run through of who Maple Finance are. We're going to go through their website. We're going to explain what their products are. We're going to take you over to their X account, show you a little bit about them on social media. We're then going to go using a time machine back to December, and we're going to talk about Syrup USDC, Syrup USDT. We're going to talk about the 2026 outlook. That was a review done based on an interview with Sid Powell. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about then in January, we're going to talk about everything that they have got up to. We have a lot of headlines. We're going to talk about the multi-chain aspect of Syrup USDC. We're going to talk about their loan book. We're going to talk about the rewards page. And at the very end, in about an hour's time, we're going to cover the Syrup token. Now, if you follow me on Binance, if you follow me on X, you will know I've been talking about the battle of 40 cents. This is a stronger, bigger, bloodier battle than the $100,000 Bitcoin fight, which really kind of has petered out without much of an effort. Whereas the 40-cent battle for Syrup, that raged for about 8 or 9 days. We're going to be talking about that as well. Now, if you are in chat, say hello. Let me know you are watching. If you've got any questions about Maple Finance, make sure you ask them. Let's bring up the window so we all know what we're talking about, and then we will get going. Now, for those of you that are on Binance Square, we're going to be dropping red packets every 15 or 20 minutes. This is about 10 or 15 minutes. We're going to drop another red packet for you guys. And say something nice about Maple Finance in the chat. That's all you got to do. And I'm going to drop you a red packet in about 13 minutes time. Now then, for those of you new here, and there's a lot of people on Binance Square asking me who Maple Finance are, I'm going to give you a very brief overview of who they are, what they do, and then when we get on to June, I'm going to show you some charts and you're going to think, that looks like a meme coin. No, my friends, it's not a meme coin. It's a growing business in an expanding market. It just happens to have exponential growth over 2025, and I imagine going into 2026 as well. So Maple Finance is the largest on-chain asset manager in the world. The largest. Now, I know many of you will have heard of Ondo and other like products, but they're not the same as Maple Finance, and that's what we're going to cover off now. They can have different market sectors. Maple Finance is in the over-collateralized institutional loan business. Ondo is in tokenized stocks, tokenizing US 0.37 billion. We topped at the height of the bull run at $5 billion. And when we show you June, you will see why that is unbelievable compared to where they were this time last year. Now, they have multiple products, and some of them are retail, some of them you can hold. You don't have to have millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin or be a large blue chip institution. Syrup USDC and Syrup USDT, they are on Binance, number one. You can hold them. And they are a liquid yielding dollar. They are not a stable coin. Okay, a stable coin keeps the peg of $1. This grows over time. If you have $1 of Syrup USDC today, and this 5.1% stays for an entire year, you will the value of your $1 in 12 months' time will be $1.05. So the assets simply sit in your account, accruing in value. There's no interest being paid out. It all comes through the NAV, the value of the assets backing up those dollars. So this is their kind of flagship product. This is the product that's seen them grow exponentially over the last 12 months. They do have 0.7%. That's got almost $500 million. The collateral ratio there is 412%. So what that means is For every $100 million that these institutions are borrowing, there are $412 million worth of assets on Maple's books. That's a pretty impressive statistic. Now, down here you have some articles about Maple Finance, what makes them special, but all you need to know is they are an over-collateralized institutional business. They take on loans, or they give out loans, from blue chip institutions, and those blue chip institutions have to put up Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it might be, as collateral, which then Maple holds. So this is their business. They've recently hit $17 billion in loans. They've got over 100 borrowers, over 400 loans, and the funding time is 24 hours. The reason it's 24 hours is very simple. They're usually new loans with the same clients. The clients have already gone through KYC, AML, and proof of funds, all that kind of thing. So that's Maple Finance in a nutshell. I'm not going to spend too long talking about that because we have so much else to talk about. Now, before we get into the June analytics, very quickly want to show you that they do exist on social media, and we are going to be going over some of their tweets as well, so this is going to pop up. So they've just got to 59,000 followers, 59,024 followers they've just reached, and again they regularly update this social media account. So one thing I would suggest you do throughout the stream is take notes, and if you don't want to take notes, simply go and follow them on X. It's simply Maple Finance on X. That's all you've got to do. Their other product is Syrup, which is their token, which we're going to talk about at the very end of the stream. That token has a lot going for it. It's got a buyback mechanism in place, so they're buying Syrup tokens every quarter. We're going to talk about that in a bit as well. But that's Maple Finance in a nutshell. I don't want to talk too much about this simply because we have so much to cover. Now, I think what we will do before we get into the articles, I think we're going to have a look at June analytics. And this is a kind of a snapshot of where Maple Finance is. So, you've heard the saying, I don't know if it was, you're all probably too young to remember him. Ronald Reagan? Was it Ronald Reagan who said, don't trust, verify? Connection whatsoever with Maple Finance. So if you want to do your own research on Maple Finance, the best place to come is June, and you will see stuff like this. It will show you at a glance everything you need to know about the business. Now, again, we're going to go through some of these numbers in a minute, so we don't need to labor the point, but I'm going to explain what they are. This is the assets under management on the left. You can see, as I said, they peaked at $5 billion on the 29th of October. They did have a bit of a come down because the market came down, the assets under management came down, the Bitcoin on their books fell by 30%, did it not? We went from 126,000 down to 80,000. But again, their fall hasn't been too bad. Their fall has been about 15%. So they're growing as the Bitcoin price and everything else comes down, but they're still growing. So that's what the chart shows you on the left. On the right, you will see their outstanding loans, their assets under management, the interest paid. This is to the liquidity providers, liquidity pools. Total loan originations, that's the total amount of loans that they have given out. We're currently at 17.35 billion. Down here, you have this chart. Well, I'm not going to confuse you too much. This chart over here shows you how much money they make. Remember, what's the most important thing about a business? Number one, it adds value to you. And number two, they make enough money to survive and make a profit and grow. A sandwich shop might sell you beautiful sandwiches, but if they're selling you that sandwich for $1 and it's costing them $4 to make the sandwich, they're not going to exist for very much longer. However, somebody who makes a terrible sandwich that charges you $5 and it costs $1 to make, they also will no longer survive. You need somebody that makes a good sandwich and charges you a reasonable price. Maple Finance charge a reasonable price for the loans that they offer. That's why they get so many of them. And part of that is revenue, and that revenue leads to profit. And as we said, if we just do a very quick comparison, we are, let's say, halfway through January. they've done $1 million worth of revenue. We can't probably go back as far as January last year, but if we go back to February last year, they did $79,500 in revenue. That was in February last year. They've now done $1 million and they're halfway through the month. In December, they did $2.5 million. So their business is growing exponentially. This chart showing you the revenue, this chart showing you the assets under management. These are the two charts that you need to consider. Now, as far as the plateau of assets under management, I said to you probably about 4 or 5 months ago, there will come a time when the markets start to drop off and we will stop seeing this exponential curve that we saw between March and probably when they topped out in October. So we had, 7 months of pretty much 60-degree increase in assets under management. Now we've plateaued, but we haven't plateaued because the business has plateaued. We've plateaued because of the market. If you overlay this over the crypto market, you will see that we pretty much topped here when Bitcoin topped and the market topped. Then you will see that we came down. That was probably similar to where we came down towards $80,000, $90,000. And now we are just starting to see the plateau before we go on to the next leg up. That's the key. That's the key to bear in mind. Now, I know a lot of people that follow Crypto Warehouse, a lot of our OGs, a lot of them are holders of Syrup and follow Maple Finance. So this stream really has two purposes. Number one, it's to keep our community up to date. And number two, it's to showcase Maple Finance to new people. That's the two premises of this show. Now, as I said, I'm going to drop another box over here, probably in about, I don't know, probably in about 4 or 5 minutes time. But first of all, let's get through some articles because we've got a lot to cover. And again, I don't want to labour too many points because we have a lot to cover. If you look on the right-hand side, we've covered products, we've covered June, we've got to go through Syrup USD, we're going to go through DeFi is Dead, an interview with Sid from Maple Finance. We're going to talk about the revenue all-time high, we're going to talk about the multi-chain aspect of Maple Finance, we're going to talk about the loans all-time high, we're then going to talk about the rewards page, which only came out a few days ago, and then we're going to go through the Syrup token. So there's a lot to cover. I'm not going to labour anything. You don't have to worry. Now, Syrup USDC and Syrup USDT built for scale. There are two different tokens. You will see a C and you will see a T. C is obviously to partner up with Circle and T is to partner up with Tether. That doesn't mean they're going to go into business with Circle and Tether. It means that there is more Circle stablecoins maybe on Solana, and maybe there's more Tether stablecoins on the Ethereum and the layer 2s of Ethereum. So they've created two products, but they're both pretty much identical. They're both a yielding dollar asset, and they are built for scale. Now, the business model is simple. You hold USDC or USDT Syrup. We've already showed you make 5%, roughly 5%, it's variable, 5% per year on your dollars. How does it grow from $1 to $1.05? Very simply put, it's based on the interest paid by the institutional partners that they have. So if they want to borrow $100 million, they may have to pay $5 or $10 million in interest. That interest, part of it goes to Maple Finance, and the majority of it goes to you. And that's how your dollars grow. So don't look at $1 of Syrup USDC and think it's going to stay that dollar for a year. $100,000 of Syrup USDC today, in 6 months' time, will be $102,500 roughly. Okay, it's variable. So understand that it's the value of the token that will go up over time, not the actual interest, but your interest is paid into the tokens that you hold. It's not paid on top of the tokens that you hold. So as Maple's assets continue to scale, the focus remains on consistent yield, deep liquidity, broad accessibility, and institutional grade risk management. In 2025, USDC and USDT if I say that like that, I'm talking about the Syrup versions. They expanded across DeFi, integrating with many other leading protocols. Over the same period, it scaled its AUM by 700%. Maple's AUM scaled 700% last year, becoming the largest on-chain asset management, as I've already said. In 2026, Maple will continue to deepen its presence in DeFi while expanding beyond it. As part of its evolution, DRIPS will be discontinued in favor of a new, more targeted approach to incentivize, designed to support sustainable long-term growth. Below is a look back at 2025. We're not going to look at that right now because we have many more things to look at. And we're not going to look at the rewards page either because we have that to look forward to at the end. And that's pretty much new. And I don't think I've covered the rewards page in any stream so far, as far as I'm aware. Now then, we're going to go over to Coinbase. DeFi is dead. Maple Finance's CEO said on-chain markets will swallow Wall Street. Bullish. The Maple Finance CEO said institutions will stop distinguishing between DeFi and TradFi as private credit moves on-chain and stablecoins process $50 trillion in payments. Now, Sid Powell is the CEO of Maple Finance. What he's talking about here is, and we talk about it all the time, it's the merger of everything. And you've heard me say this before. Binance will become a bank. Binance will become a bank. You'll be able to pay your electricity bills and your gas and your water bills through Binance at some point in the future. Similarly, Bank of America will more than likely offer some kind of Robinhood style app where you can buy and trade crypto through Bank of America. The lines get blurred, and that's just what happens. You have rejection, 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 acceptance, 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 and then the merger. We're likely to see in the near future the likes of Bank of America and Goldman Sachs buy smaller exchanges to get access to their clients and get access to the tech. We're likely to see, and we have seen, the likes of Binance buy smaller banks to get banking licenses. So everything gets merged. So when Sid talks about DeFi being dead, he's talking about the fact that everything kind of all merges together. Each retains the frictionless element if we're talking about DeFi, or if we talk about the kind of the more structured approach with TradFi, they'll still exist, but the lines are so blurred that when you do bank through Bank of America in the future and you buy Syrup USDC or you stake Syrup USDC on Aave and you do that through Bank of America, that's the Bank of America TradFi tapping into DeFi. Binance does this all the time. Binance already has various different products on its books which are true DeFi, but you can get them through Binance, which is a centralized exchange. That's all this means. So that's important to understand, that we've gone past rejection. We're now acceptance and a kind of amalgamation of everybody's points. So tokenized private credit, not tokenized treasuries, will be the main growth engine for on-chain finance, with DeFi market cap on track to reach $1 trillion. Powell expects a high-profile on-chain credit default and a surge in stablecoin payments in 2026. Now, that is not Sid Powell. Okay, this is not Sid Powell. I just want to point that out. That is just an advert. Sid Powell has way more hair than this man. And then there's the interview with Charles is down here. Here we go. Let's get rid of Charles. Bye, Charles. In a couple of years, institutions won't distinguish between DeFi and TradFi. Think of it this way. Before the internet, people would buy goods and services the traditional way, by going to merchants physically. After the internet, e-commerce happened, people still shop, but the majority is done with a click or two. Again, we've covered this before. We digitized books, we digitized music, we digitized movie. We haven't digitized money. So we've done all the recreational stuff, which is the onboarding, you know, the consuming entertainment. That's all been done. What we've not done is given people access to all of the different crypto opportunities which are available. And think of it this way. If I say DeFi and Web3 removes friction, you're like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. What's friction? Friction is going out at 6 p.m. on a Friday night, driving 20 minutes to your Blockbuster to get a video, spending half an hour trying to find out what video you want, paying for it, renting it, and then driving home to be home for 7:30. That's an hour and a half of friction. Okay, that's friction. You now can sit down with Netflix or Amazon or Apple or whatever you've got, and you can press a button and you can watch, I don't know, Stranger Things. Okay, you can watch Stranger Things 1 minute after it's released at home. That's removing friction. Send a transfer to your mum because it's her birthday on Monday and now it's Saturday. You can't go to your bank. You have to wait till Monday morning at 9 o'clock for your bank to open. You then have to go in and do the bank transfer, or you might want to do it online, but the bank is still closed. And this, by the way, doesn't apply to every country. It applies to a lot of countries. So your mum doesn't get her cash transfer until Tuesday or Wednesday. All of that time is friction. What Maple Finance does is it says to you, do you want to earn 5% on your money? Yes. Fine. Go and buy Syrup USDC. Go and buy Syrup USDC. You now hold it. From the second you hold Syrup USDC until the second you sell it, you are earning interest on that Syrup USDC. The second you buy it. Okay? Now, you go into a bank and you say, right, okay, I want to take out a 3-month investment, 6-month investment. Absolutely fine. Today's Monday, we'll have it done by Friday. Fantastic. You've lost 4 days of interest. And they charge you a fee, maybe 0.25%, maybe 0.1% of a fee for doing that. So you've lost money. Then they're going to pay you 1% or 2% at most. Then, when you withdraw it, it takes another week. So you've lost 2 weeks, it's cost you money, and you're earning less money. What Maple Finance and other companies are trying to do is say, you don't need to do any of that. This is frictionless. This is what frictionless means. It means you, while you're watching me, can go and buy Syrup USDC and hold it and start earning interest. But the interest doesn't get paid to you. It grows in value. That's why the blurring of the lines that Sid is talking about is so important. It's not about rich people getting richer, which is what the communists are trying to tell you. It's about you being able to earn the same amount of return that the rich people have been able to earn for hundreds of years. That frictionless opens up markets that were never available to you. In America, they have certain laws. UK has them as well. Qualification. No, you've got £250,000. You're a sophisticated investor. Off you go. But I've only got £500. Oh, well, you're not sophisticated enough to use our products. And what they mean to say to you is it's not worth our time giving you those products. This, which Sid and the team have built at Maple Finance, is one example of how you can now earn the same amount of money on your money, same amount of interest and growth on your money that the rich people can. That's what this means. So, of course, we go on to talk about the regulated framework. DeFi is dead, where the blockchain tech becomes the dominant infrastructure layer without even thinking twice. People are using a new tech to conduct their everyday financial transactions. Again, we can talk about many examples. The satellite on top of your roof that you used to have to press a button to point it at a different station. All of that. You don't think twice because it's all over the internet. You pick up your phone, it's got Facebook on it, or Instagram. You don't think twice about it. All of that tech 20 years ago was a lot more difficult than it is today. And that's what he's talking about. We want people to be able to use TradFi without knowing they're using DeFi. We want people to use Barclays Bank, Santander, and tap into yield-bearing products that are in DeFi or maybe other Binance products, whatever it might be. We want them to be able to do that and not know that they're using Web3. That's when Web3 wins. It wins when people don't realize it's Web3. The internet won when people started talking about, you won't remember, but back in my day, people say, I'm going to go on the internet tonight. That's what people used to say. I'm going to go on the internet tonight. Okay, Grandma. Now people say, I was on TikTok last night for a few hours, doom scrolling or whatever they do. That's the point. You no longer think that you're on the internet. You don't care that you're on the internet. You're just using TikTok. In 5 or 10 years' time, you could be using a Maple Finance product through Binance, through Barclays Bank. And they're all merged together, and you don't know the intricacies involved in that because you don't care. And why should you care? At the end of the day, you're the early adopters. I'm preaching to the converted already, but you've got to understand this is where we're going. Now, 2026 DeFi outlook. Institutions commit to real-world assets at scale. Market cap of tokenized public market RWAs tripled to 16.7 billion as institutions adopted blockchain. BlackRock's Build product. We've got different things on here. The key here is the growth. This is what I'm trying to show you now. I don't just want to talk about specifically Maple Finance numbers throughout the stream. I want to kind of give you a broader overview. Now, on-chain credit is where Maple Finance excels. The institutional over-collateralized loans that they offer. The growth of this rose 37% across the entire lending market, protocols market. This kind of growth at scale is going to cause an explosion. We're going to be talking about 50 or 60 billion today, and at the end of this year we're going to be talking about 500 or 600 billion. That's the kind of growth. We look at Maple Finance from the start of last year, 400 million, topped out at 5 billion. Maybe 2026 it tops out at 10, 12, 15 billion. So Maple Finance is probably going to outgrow the market because it's one of the highest performing players in the market. That's the way to look at things. We're going to run out of time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to drop a box on Binance. So we're going to go over here for 1 second. And I'm going to drop a box. So if you're watching on Binance and you haven't been typing a nice comment, you will not get a reward. So type nice comments. You'll get a reward. And then I'll take it away from there. So I'm going to drop a box. That's going to have a countdown on it. That's going to start probably dropping in the next 3 or 4 minutes, I hope. There we go. There's a lot of people in chat. Good morning. Man on Chain says, how are we so sure that 1 million will go to this? There is a very good reason. It's called... I don't want to get too complicated. If you've got $120 million worth of assets and you have $100 million worth of Syrup USDC issued, then the NAV is 1.2. So how can we be so sure is we can verify that on chain. Do you remember what I said about Ronald Reagan? Verify, don't trust. Verify, don't trust. So that is what you need to do. You need to verify using June, which is why I showed you June. You need to verify what they're saying is true. Now, if you say, well, how do I get my money back? You can go directly to Maple Finance and you can exchange your Syrup USDC for USDC. You can USDT, sorry, I think. You can do both. But you can go to their platform. So don't trust me. There's no trust involved in this stream. You verify everything I've said, and I'm showing you how to do that. I've shown you June. I'm showing you the industry. I'm showing you the assets under management. I'm showing you all of this because it's your job to investigate. Do your own research. All I can do is explain how it works. If they had $250 million of assets supporting $100 million worth of Syrup USDX, that Syrup USDC, for example, would be $2.50. That's how it works. It's over-collateralized loans, which means there's more assets on the books that are taking those loans out. And because of that, they don't have to worry about defaults. And then over time, they can then pay that yield into the pot, which then represents the value of that USDC that you've got in your wallet. So that's what I'm saying. If you buy $100 today, the value of that $100 will be $105 in a year's time because the value of the pot has grown. okay? They don't send you interest. They don't send you a cent every 2 months. The value of the Syrup USDC that you have is increasing over time. And as I showed you, it's 5.1% at this moment in time. It's been as high as 7%. It's been 6.3, 6.1. It changes over time. Now, one other thing is, please stop asking me to send you money. I am not going to send you money. And what I am going to do is I'm going to mute you, okay? This is not a stream for asking for money. This is a stream to talk about Maple Finance. Now, let's get back to the chart and start talking about a few other things. Maple Finance price forecast: Syrup extends gains as monthly revenue hits record high. We've now jumped forward into January. Actually, let's make sure I'm on the right path. No, we're not on the right path. Multi-chain is what is next, not the Syrup price. What time is it, by the way? Again, I want to make sure that I get this done. 11:32, we've got plenty of time. Okay. So, yields are only as good as their distribution. One of the objectives of 2025 for Maple Finance was to expand multi-chain and go onto different chains and basically push their roots out into the majoritively successful chains that are out there. Not every chain, because there's no point in being on Berachain if it's only got 20 users a day, or it's no point in being on Stark if it's only got 5 users a day. The point of it is to go after the most popular places to earn a yield. So where's Aave, where's Camino Finance, where's Jupiter, where's things like that. That's what Maple Finance did in 2025. Now on here, multi-chain adoption. So these two Syrup products, the USDT and USDC, they are available on multiple chains. They are available on Ethereum. Clearly, they're always going to start on Ethereum. Everyone's going to start on Ethereum. But they're also on Solana. They're also on Plasma. They're also on Arbitrum. Okay? They're also in many other places. They're talking to Arc about maybe having them listed on Arc. Now, the thing about Arc and Plasma is they are stablecoin specific blockchains. So, if you're going to move millions and billions of dollars a day, you're going to want a specific blockchain to do that. You're going to want to trust a specific blockchain to do that. Now, Tether don't own Plasma. Okay? They are involved, and it is a Tether-based solution, Plasma. And Syrup USDT is currently sitting in Plasma. There's Aave vaults that are on there. They've got other vaults as well that they were paying between 6 and 18% at one point over on Plasma. So Plasma is a Tether product, not just, oh, we're a layer 2 because we're faster, like the Polygons. What's the elevator pitch for Plasma? It is a stablecoin specific blockchain with the infrastructure to support billions and billions of dollars in transactions as frictionless as possible every day. That's the pitch for Plasma. Now go and pitch me Sonic. Now go and pitch me Berachain. Now go and pitch me one of these other slightly failing blockchains. And you can't, because they don't have anything specific to talk about. That's why it's important that when when Maple Finance make these moves, they go with the right partners. Ethereum and Solana are always going to be the number 1 and number 2. Plasma is always going to be in there, as is Arbitrum. Arbitrum is probably the DeFi layer 2 of Ethereum. It's probably the biggest, in terms of metrics, the biggest amount of DeFi outside of Ethereum in that ecosystem. So that's a great move for them. You will notice there's no Cardano mentioned here yet. There's no XRP mentioned here yet, or Ripple, sorry. There's no BNB mentioned here yet. None of this existed, apart from Ethereum, this time last year. They've added in some of the biggest blockchains in the world in 12 months. They can only do so much. I expect, and I don't know, I expect BNB to come on chain in 2026. I expect them to probably look at some kind of connection with Ripple because they can offer a yield. I am expecting some kind of Ripple collab in the future, but I don't know. I don't work for Maple Finance. These are my... If I was running Maple Finance today, what would be my next steps? My next steps would be BNB chain, and a collab with Ripple. They would be my next two moves. But I'm not Sid. Sid is privy to a lot more information than I am as well. So moving multi-chain, it gives more people access to the products. That's the way to look at it. You will find Sol Maxis, ETH Maxis, ARB Maxis. You'll find all of these people out there that won't leave their chains. Why don't they do it on Solana? Well, they do it on Solana now, and they do it on Plasma. They do it on Arbitrum now. So they're all tied in, and there's way more partnerships than this that we can talk about. But the most important thing to understand is going multi-chain gives more people access to the products. It does also expand the TVL. You know, if you said, right, $300 or $400 million on this chain, $200 or $300 million on that chain, $1 billion on that chain, suddenly you're looking at $2 billion worth of TVL. That's what's important. Now, the over-collateralized model, this is a bit of a follow-up to what we're just talking about here, is if Maple Finance do have 300 or 400 more than the value of the syrup USDC and USDT in circulation, the loans themselves are over-collateralized. As we said before, if they want to borrow $100 million as an institution, they will probably have to put up $300 or $400 million worth of Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. That's what over-collateralized means. If I want to borrow $100, you need to give me $300 worth of assets. That's what over-collateralized means. Now, it doesn't mean you've lost that. It means you repay the loan and interest, so you might give them $105 back, and they'll give you your $300 worth of Bitcoin back. That's all it means. You know, that's how it works. If you watch the old gangster movies, and the guy says, you know, let me borrow your car, you'll see him take off his Rolex watch and give the guy's Rolex watch. And that Rolex watch is worth a lot more than that 1970s Chevy outside. So over-collateralized loans exist in every single form, from the gangster trying to borrow a car to somebody wanting a $500 million loan from Maple Finance. It's just the way it works. Now, the loans themselves, that's what we're going to talk about next. Hello Mubi, welcome to the YouTube stream. And that is absolutely typical. Why is that down? No, it's completely gone. Right, it doesn't matter about that one. What we'll do is we'll just go back here and I'll talk it through with you. So basically, total loan originations. What does that mean? This is the total amount of loans, and again, there's really no point in clicking on this script other than to bring it up as a bigger number. This is the total number of loans that Maple Finance have issued. So 17.35 billion in loans. Now again, I'll reiterate the point about June. June is an on-chain analytics business. They have no connection to Maple Finance. Everything you see here that they are showing you, it's just determined to not work for me today, isn't it? Everything I'm showing you here is data that's been pulled in on chain. So none of this is kind of like, you know, this isn't FTX. Maple Finance can't turn around and say, oh yeah, we've actually got $16 billion worth of assets under management and we've lent out $100 billion worth of loans. Doesn't work that way. The AUM, real time. Outstanding loans, real time. Interest paid, real time. These numbers will go up. If we sat here for a few days, each of these numbers would change. Now, the total loans broke $17 billion very recently with a $500 million loan. And then it's gone up again to 17.35 billion. So again, if we're going to look forward to the end of this year, what do we generally expect? I would certainly see $20 billion worth of loans originated. Could we see $25 or $30 billion worth of loans? Absolutely. There's no reason why we can't see that. So that number is something to keep an eye on. They're going to be milestones. They're going to hit 20 billion in the near future. I'm going to make a Twitter post about that, probably a Binance post about that as well, just explaining this is the next milestone. The same with assets under management. It goes back above 5 billion. I'll make an announcement about that. So these are just milestones, okay? It doesn't mean the job's done. It's just a nice number to tick off on the way towards where they want to go to. And where they want to go to is with regards to the revenue. Okay, because revenue is a section which I don't know if I've got it in the chart or not. Loans, rewards. No. Okay. So we'll talk about this. Now, ARR is a term you may or may not have heard of. It's something like annual something revenue. So basically what it means is you take any one of these numbers and you times it by 12 to kind of give a forward look of to how much their revenue would be. Is it average realized revenue? Something like that. Anyway, it doesn't matter what it is. So when they hit $2.5 million of revenue in December, that was an ARR of $30 million. Now, that was their target that they set. Their next target is $100 million ARR. So 3xing this number here, roughly 3xing. I've worked out they need to do $8 million and change in a month to get an ARR of $100 million. Now, they've set that target for 2026. That doesn't mean they have to do $100 million worth of revenue in 2026. It means that they need to get to maybe December or November of this year and be at $8.2 million in revenue. That's what it means. So potentially, if we look for 2026, maybe their total revenue for 2026 will be $60 million. That's actual money in the bank. But their ARR can still hit $100 million if they reach that by November or December. And you can say the same thing about this. The ARR at this point was almost 30 million. The ARR at this was like 25 million. The ARR at this point was 30 million. So they kind of reached it. And as you can see, they kind of go up in steps. So that down here, they were below half $500,000 a month. Then they broke the $1 million a month mark. Then they broke $2 million a month. It's only a matter of time before they break $3 million. Then 4, then 5. So by the end of this year, they want to be at around about $8 million a month in revenue. And I think that is absolutely achievable. They've added, in a year, they've added $2.5 million. So even if we go off replicating what happened last year, we're looking at a $60 million ARR or $5 million a month. Easily achievable for a business. Like I said, Maple Finance, they're in an expanding market, and they are expanding faster than the market because they're one of the biggest players. They're the biggest on-chain asset manager in the world already, and they're growing exponentially. There will be more competition. I know World Liberty Finance are going to try and offer some kind of over-collateralized loans. I know that's in the bag, but competition is also healthy because, as I said on the stream a few days ago, if somebody comes to me and says, there we go, annual recurring revenue. I knew somebody out there would know it. Recurring was the missing word, maybe. So the key here is, I hear or I see an article about World Liberty Finance offering over-collateralized loans. I run a very, very successful business. So what I say to my researcher is, go and find me. This is a really good idea. We've got all this Bitcoin. Go and find me the top 5 companies that we can use to leverage the collateral that we've got. And that researcher will go away and they will find Maple Finance and they will find World Liberty Finance and anybody else that happens to be out there. And they'll come back and they'll say to me, right, well, you've got World Liberty Finance, they're number 4. And then you've got Maple Finance, who are number 1, and you've got XYZ, who are number 2 and number 3. I'd say, okay, who are Maple Finance? And then that person goes away and researches Maple Finance. And then I'm going to say, okay, well, who uses Maple Finance? Well, they're actually partnered with Cantor Fitzgerald. They're actually partnered with this guy and this guy and this guy. Oh, wow. And what about their, assets under management? They're coming in at just under $5 billion. They're the biggest in the market. Who am I going to use as a CEO of a business? Somebody who started 2 minutes ago, or the biggest player in the market? I'm going to go and inquire with the biggest player in the market. So when you see competition, always look at the positives of that competition. It brings eyes to the industry. There may be people out there, believe it or not, there may be people out there going, oh, we've got 100 Bitcoin, or we've got 500 Bitcoin. I didn't know we could use it as collateral. I didn't know we could actually go and take a loan out against it. What do you think all of these treasury companies are going to do when they've bought all of this Bitcoin? Do you think they're going to sit on it? No, they're going to leverage it. They're going to use it as collateral to increase the value of their business, to increase their cash flow, to increase their revenue, and they're going to do that by putting up the 500 or 600 Bitcoin or 1,000 Bitcoin, wherever it might be, borrowing $100, $200 million and going off and doing whatever they need to do. So don't think World Liberty Finance coming in is an absolute existential threat to Maple Finance. No, it brings eyes. If anything, we want the Trump family in the same line of business as Maple Finance because they'll both grow and they'll both grow exceptionally well. And the Trump family, they're not idiots. They will know about Maple Finance. If they've moved into this market, they'll know about Maple Finance. A happy medium of maybe offering Maple Finance products through their own products. And again, wouldn't surprise me if that was another one of the things on the horizon to go with my other predictions that I've made today. Right then, let's move on very quickly. I can tell you something. Chat is incredibly quiet today. Let me keep an eye on chat to see what's going on. Let's get rid of this person who is spamming chat. There we go. Muted. Right. Let's carry on. Right. So, this is pretty much breaking news. This happened 3 days ago. And this is the new Maple Finance app. There's lots of things over here. But basically, they're getting rid of drips. That was a system they had where they quarterly, I think it was quarterly, they paid out drips, which converted to syrup. They made another change. They got rid of the syrup staking option. And what they're trying to do is that they're doing two things. They are reducing emissions of syrup token. So they're stopping the amount of syrup that's being pumped out in one go. And in the second go, they are spending, I think, 25%, 50%, somewhere around that, of their revenue. I think it's 25% actually. 25% of their revenue on buying back the syrup token. Now again, when you're making $50,000, $60,000 a month in revenue, it's only $15,000 worth of syrup. When you're earning $3, $4, $5, $6 million a month, that suddenly becomes a $1.5 million buy of syrup every month. So as their revenue grows, the buybacks will grow. And again, we've covered this on our streams many, many times before. A lot of people look at the buyback and burn or the buyback for the treasury mechanism and they don't give it enough time. Dupe are talking about it right now, about scrapping it because it's not working. It's only been running for a year. These things need to run for a very long time. If you look at Binance, BNB, they did a $1.7 billion buyback and burn. They burnt 1% of the supply last week. 1% of all BNB has been burnt. We're getting to the point with BNB where it's becoming such a scarce asset, and I've said this on the stream yesterday. I am not going to be surprised when BNB is at $5,000 or $10,000. It would not surprise me in the slightest if CZ's original plan for BNB was to get it down to 21 million BNB and then significantly stop the buyback and burn. That would be my long-term goal if I was creating an asset. Maple Finance are buying back significant numbers of their own token right now. And that's only going to go one way for the token, which we're going to cover in a minute. But first, I probably should drop another box onto Binance Square. So if you're watching somewhere else other than Binance Square, we've got a box, which luckily everybody has claimed. Right, we're going to drop another box. Let me just put myself onto screen again while we drop another box. And then we will get on with the stream. Okay, so that's another box that's dropped. That'll drop in about 5 minutes. That'll be the last one of the stream. We've dropped 4 boxes on the stream. There we go. Red box has been dropped. Hello, feed creator. I hope you are okay. Hello, everybody. Right, let's get back on with the stream. So then, we've kind of covered that. Back to this. So, the reason this is really, really good, and especially for Mags, hopefully Mags is watching at this point, is you need to be able to leverage your syrup in a safe way. And Binance kind of gives you a lot of those options already. You can go and earn a yield on syrup. I believe I think you can earn interest on syrup token itself. But if you wanted to hold syrup USDC and USDT, and you wanted to go out into the big wide world, this is the thing that I really, really like. Okay, there's syrup USDC and syrup USDT. This is really small. Let me make it a little bit bigger so you can see it. So, as I said before, syrup USDC is no different to syrup USDT other than the chains it's on. So, if you look at syrup USDT, you can now tap into Aave. Who are Aave? Oh, they just happen to be the biggest DeFi platform in the world. They've also partnered, Aave have also partnered with some of the major exchanges in the world. I'm not going to mention names, but there are some big ones out there that have partnered with Aave. They've partnered with Pendle, which is another brilliant platform. And they've partnered with Fluid. And I think the Fluid partnership happened middle of last year, in the summer maybe. Syrup USDC is more Solana-y. If that's even a word, we're making it a word. We're going to own that word, Solana-y. You can now earn with Kamino Finance. You can earn with Jupiter. You can also go and earn on Fluid, Uniswap, and Midas. Uniswap is where you would swap it from. Now, why do I like this? I think it's pretty straightforward why I like this. Because you've got your Syrup USDC and you want to earn some money from it. You can go over to Kamino Finance. And again, we're not going to start promoting Kamino Finance because it's technically not a competitor of Binance, in all honesty, because Kamino Finance is like a yield platform. But over here, let me just make sure we go to, let's say, Multiply. And then we can go to real world asset loops, for example. You will see down here several different Syrup USDC options in a loop. Now, they earn a lot more than the 5% that I just showed you, but you have to understand there is always a risk with using DeFi like this. There are contract risks, vulnerabilities, things that people haven't heard of. Are they likely to happen? No, but they're not likely to happen until they do happen. So always bear in mind that there is always an element of risk with using DeFi. Maybe your wallet gets hacked. And if your wallet gets hacked, it doesn't matter how safe Kamino Finance is because your wallet's been hacked. So always be as safe as you can. And personally, if you're new to crypto, go and buy Syrup USDC or USDT on Binance and hold it there and earn 5%. That's my advice. It's simple, it's easy, you don't have to go anywhere. But if you want to go and dabble your feet, certainly go and look at some of these options down here. And these are the different pairs. So Syrup is on Kamino Finance. Do we have the option to go back here? We certainly do. Now Jupiter, there is something called Jupe Lend. I don't know if I've got the article about that. I do, actually. I've got the thing about that as well. We can talk about this very quickly. This only went live again. The rewards page here and this Jupiter product here, they only came out probably, let me get the date. At this, I'm not going to go over to Jupiter Lend because I'm going to look at the syrup price in a second. Down here, you will see my screenshot that I put up about this. Here we go. So Jupiter Lend is pairing Syrup USDC with Jupe USD. We love Jupiter Exchange. We love Maple Finance. When we see collabs across the Jupiter product range with Maple, it makes us more bullish. Check it out. And that's just to give you an idea. So what you can do is you can, if you've got Syrup USDC, you can earn on it by lending it out. That's basically what this is. So there's multiple different ways that you can earn with your Syrup USDC once you've got it. So in summary of that element of the show, you can buy Syrup USDC or USDT, I can't remember which one. You can buy that on Binance today. and it can sit in your wallet and earn you 5% growth without doing anything I've just shown you in the last 2 or 3 minutes. That's it. So, what does your bank account pay you? 1%, 0.5%? Fine. Get Syrup USDC or USDT, hold it on Binance and earn 5%. So you're going to get 5 times the yield. But that's not the important bit. The important bit is that 5% should outgrow inflation. So if your inflation is 2.5% in your country and your bank is paying you 1% or 0.5%, you're losing every single year. Your $100 is $99 next year, $98 the year after. You hold it with Syrup, the purchasing power next year will be $102.50, $105 the year after, $108 the year after. As long as that percentage that you're getting, which is growing and accruing the value of your assets, as long as that number is above inflation, that's all you should care about. Now, 11:57. We are going to run out of time. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the Syrup token and then I'm going to wrap up. Otherwise, we're going to be here at I don't know what time. I don't know why I've got a rang up. He was a scammer. Who is down here? Thank you. Follow me. Follow me. The Hustlers, I hope you're well. Right then, this is the Syrup chart. Now, I've drawn this channel on this chart. Now, the Oracle uses a different chart when he does his streams on Binance. He uses a different chart that goes back before this chart. Now, this is the Binance Syrup Tether chart. And there's something I want to draw your attention to. This is like a downward channel that we've had since June last year, which isn't really kind of playing out, really, I would say. But I kind of drew it to see if I could find some lines, which I didn't. Now, what I want to draw your attention to, if you pardon the pun, is what happened here. Now, on Monday and Tuesday, I made a couple of posts on Binance Square and on X about the battle at 40 cents. And beautiful month from December until now. This is just beautiful. Look at what Syrup has done. Okay? Rejected at the fib. Rejected at the fib. Broke through the fib. Hit the bottom of the bull market support band. Bottom of the bull market support band. Failed breakout. Broke out. Found support. Rejected at 40 cents. Rejected at 40 cents. Rejected at 40 cents. Where did we come down to? We came down to support that was resistance. The SR flip, I believe the technical people call it. Somebody yesterday in Syrup's Telegram group was saying, why did the price come down? The price has come down because it's trapped in a range. And that range is now between 34.7 cents and 40 cents. That's the range it's in. Now, if you run against a wall and you run as hard as you can and you hit that wall with your shoulder, what happens, apart from breaking your shoulder, is you tend to bounce back and fall over. We ran at that 40 cents wall for a week and a bit and we fell over. And where did we land? We landed on support. So now we know two things. We know where resistance is and we know where support is. That's what we now know. Okay? Now, a lot of people seem to now think that we're going to go down again. I don't understand why people would think we're going to go down again, because normally when you get a rejection, you have a retracement, which is what we've done. But where did we retrace to? We retraced to support. Where was support? Previous was at 37.8 cents. That's the next level. And if you go back to this area here, you're going to see that was where it was kind of like poking with a stick. Can we get through? And we didn't do that for a while. So I would expect us to have a little bit of a move up. It's only a 5% move-ish, about a 5% move up. If we go to 40 cents again and have another run at that, that's a 10% move. So what we're looking at here is an easy 5 to 10%. All being the same in the Bitcoin world and the world of other countries that are doing things, in the world of Donald Trump, if nothing changes, we're going to have another run at 40 cents. But we're certainly going to go and have another run at 37.8 cents, and we're certainly going to go back to 40 cents. Now, that is very, very short term. And the Oracle himself has been talking about us coming down. And I believe he would be talking about coming down to this level here as a worst case scenario, which is about 28 cents. I don't think we're going to do that. But again, he could be right, I could be wrong. I could be right, he could be wrong. It's opinions at the end of the day. I think we're going to have another run up. And depending on where Bitcoin goes, I think we could easily go above 40 cents. Not too much higher than 40 cents. Because the next level up is probably to get back towards this level here. Now, we talk a lot about psychological levels. Bitcoin at 100,000. We talk about Ethereum at 3,000, 3,500, 4,000. If you heard my live streams before, you've heard me give you the speech before. But psychological levels still hold true. Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP at $2, XRP at $3. We talk about these things every single day we stream. Now, what Syrup has done is create its own psychological levels. 40 cents is a psychological level for Syrup. The next one is in the range of 50 cents. I'm not going to give you any other price predictions on Syrup other than 40 and then 50. If we break 40, we go somewhere in the region of 50, 48 cents. That's my setup right now. Now, believe it or not, we are going to sell some Syrup tokens in the future if we get towards 50 cents. That's the plan. If we don't go near 50 cents, we're going to accumulate. So at these prices, at 30 cents, 28 cents, we accumulate. That means we buy. At 50 cents, we sell in the short term, not the long term. In the long term, we still hold, and we've held this since before the bull run. Don't even know if I've got the line on here. Nope. We still believe, and we do not change from our belief, that Syrup is a $1.20 token. Now, that is not a number plucked out of thin air either. Okay? There's always, especially with us on this channel, I don't know about anybody else's channel, there's always some level of reasoning behind where we're going to go to. Now, Syrup at $1.20 gives it a 1.5, maybe $1.4 billion market cap. That's what we think it can go to. I think it will break $1 billion and it will go up even further. So that takes us to about $1 and $1 plus. I think $1.20 is where Syrup is. That was our prediction for the top out in November. That's where we expected it to go. I still expect it to go there. The value of a token is not the same as the value of a business. We've said this 1,000 times before. You go look at the stock market, you will see people talking about undervalued gems where the share price is a lot lower than the value of the business. There's a lot of crap on the internet where companies don't make money. They have runways, they've got VC money, they've got all this, they don't make a dime. Okay? I'm showing you, and I have spent an hour today showing you a business that is accelerating in growth. Now, if they do get to, let's say, $5 million a month revenue, that $5 million a month revenue is after they've paid out a bucket load of interest to you guys for holding Syrup USDC. So let's not count that. Let's look at loan originations. Let's say they double their loan book in 2026. Let's say they increase their revenue 2 or 3x in 2026. We're talking about $1.20. I'm not going to sit here. I have seen people say $5, $10 for Syrup. No, we're not going to get anywhere near that. Value Maple Finance as a business. Maple Finance as a business, not a speculative crypto asset which has got a lovely picture of a cat that dances around with dogs. Value this as a solid business which is expanding in an industry. If you want to put speculation on top, fine. But I think $1.20 is a 3x from here. I think it's $1 billion business, and $1 billion business puts it at over $1. So that's kind of the reasoning for my $1.20 target. It also ties up with a fib level as well. And that is kind of where I am for this. Now, we are done. But we're not done. I'm going to give you a couple of predictions for Maple Finance in 2026. Number one, it's going to break $1. I don't know when, but it will break $1. The dollar valuation is based on the fact that I think Bitcoin will finish higher in 2026 than it started 2026. I think we're going to rattle around, come down towards May or June, towards the midterms, start to think about coming back up, end of the year, blow off. I think 95 to 100,000 for Bitcoin. All of this is on the proviso that I'm right. If I'm wrong and Bitcoin's at $250,000, then Syrup's at $2. But we can't live in a fantasy world. So I think a $1.20 Syrup at some point this year is on the cards. I think certainly they're going to be looking at $6 to $10 million a month in revenue. I think they're certainly going to be breaking over $10 billion of assets under management. They're all the nice numbers, great. But let's look at where I think they're going to expand to. I think they're going to go on to BNB. I think there's going to be a partnership with Ripple or the Ripple blockchain, somewhere along the lines. I think that would be the second move after BNB for me. I think they're going to bring on more institutional partners. More institutional partners, by the way, is more assets under management. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy here. So I think coupled with all of that, to see Syrup below 30, 40 cents at the end of the year, I think he's absolutely crazy. But I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say it's going to go to $5 or $10 because it's just not going to happen. It is going to go somewhere near $1.20, in my opinion. But again, I can give you an arm's length list of reasons why crypto is going to come down this year. I can talk about Taiwan. I can talk about Iran. I can talk about other countries I'm not going to mention names of. They are all black swans. And each one of them can depress the market enough to suppress the price of Maple, suppress the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin does not need a reason to go up, remember. Bitcoin just needs reasons to go down. And there are many, many reasons in 2026. So err on the side of caution. Don't over-leverage. Don't just suddenly go, you know what, Mike's right, I'm going to 25x Maple Finance Syrup's token. I'm going to 25x it tonight. We're going to be rich. No. Buy some Syrup token. Or buy Syrup USDC if you want to hold your stables, and then take it from there. Now, we are done. Thank you to Mags and Mubi. I'm glad Mags watched. I wanted to show Mags the reward page. I'm going to drop that rewards page into our Telegram group so he gets his hands on that as well. And I really enjoyed doing the Maple Finance stream. I could sit here probably for another 45 minutes talking about the different things I like about Maple Finance. And again, the one thing I will say is we only partner with people that we like, which is why we have so few partners. We have Binance, we have Maple Finance, we have Wolfies, okay, and then we have another one we can't say the name of. We've got 4 partners. That's it. We could have 20 if we wanted to, but we don't, because much as we like making money, we like to sleep at night as well. Okay, these grey hairs aren't getting any greyer, thankfully. So thank you all for coming. You're all amazing. Have a great weekend. Now, I am not back on Monday, but I'm going to put the reasons up later on. So thank you, everybody. Take care.